Bit fairly quiet.
Rick.
Patrick,
I don't.
think you're as observers is not on.
Oh,
Well, I know, but I think this time I think we need to make sure we're doing it partly right. It's easier for me to know you can vote. Okay, we're on. Okay. Sorry for the delay in starting. I do need to read out an announcement before we start. I would like to remind everyone, if you are seated in the meeting, it is possible that the cameras will capture your image. By your presence, you are deemed to consent to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. If you address the council, committee, rather, your contribution will be recorded and broadcast unless this is during the period when the meeting is in private session. As the chair of the meeting, I can, at my discretion, terminate or suspend filming if, in my opinion, continuing to do so would prejudice the proceedings of the meeting, or if I consider that continued filming might infringe the rights of any individual or breach any statutory provision. And the fire escape. All out through the door. Apologies for absence. I don't think there are any. We're all here. Declarations of interest and dispensations. No. Minutes of the last meeting have been circulated. Is it your wish that I should sign these as a record meeting? All in favour? Okay, carried. Public participation. None received. Member participation. Actually, I'm looking at the minutes of the last meeting. That's not a very good idea, is it? Member participation. No. Okay. Right. Neighbourhood plan and Cotswold District Council local plan standing item. But I believe that actually there's a bit more to it this time than just an update.
It says to consider the regulation 14 draft neighbourhood plan for recommendation to council on the 4th.
Oh, sorry. I was only looking at the bold writing. Sorry about that. Yes. So this is the item to consider the Reg 14 draft neighbourhood plan recommendation to council. Rena, Councillor.
I would like to request a recorded vote on this item.
Okay. Yep. I think we have to necessarily vote on whether we have a recorded.
If I request it, that it happens.
Yes, I think it probably does, yes,
Yeah.
okay. Now, I know we've got both Councillor Coleman and Councillor Robbins present. Did either of you want to have any input at this stage, or?
I think everything's been said. We've had a briefing from the consultants, which I hope is useful. The steering group passed the text recently by 6 votes in favour with 1 abstention. And we're looking forward to the planning committee giving support to what is eventually going to be the town council plan before it goes out for public consultation.
So, my only thoughts are that I thought it might be today an opportunity to look at the changes proposed by Councillor Pellegrin and the other member of the Neighbourhood Development Plan Steering Group who responded, his initials are AJ. Since the response from Ferrier tells us what they suggest should stay and what shouldn't. And I'm a little bit concerned as a member of the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, officially representing the District Council, but playing a full part sometimes involved in the early stages. I know that there's some that Councillor Pellegrin is not entirely content with the limited response to her contribution, but I have a feeling the same is true of AJ. Because in her case it represents the result of her professional experience doing their development plans elsewhere. However, I wouldn't want to make the big thing at this stage. Just think it's worth thinking about, because otherwise we might find ourselves dealing with the council.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. I understood that you probably wanted to go through that change. I was sort of hoping that you might have been here for the briefing with Richard earlier, where we could actually raise that issue. But I felt reading through the change log or the responses to the change log that had come from Richard, that actually in most cases even though he'd said that he'd rejected it, alongside it he had made it very clear that those items were there to test that public consultation, and therefore it was still appropriate for them to say as they were, and he didn't feel that they actually did conflict with basic conditions. Is that what the word was? I forget that does not conform with basic conditions, I think was the comment that they made. So I'm hoping that, as the process progresses and we go through Regulation 14, that members of the public will be involved in the consultation and will be making comments, and then it'll be an opportunity for the district council as well to make its comments, and that those planning policies will be tightened or rejected or whatever by members of the public. So it's an opportunity still for that 6-week period, and then for the change. So I'm hoping that will satisfy, and I'm happy also that it's been confirmed that basically James Brain and Joseph Walker from the district council have both been involved thoroughly in the process and hasn't any problems with it. So it looks okay to me. But thank you for raising it. Any other comments that we want to make? Yeah.
I think, well, I certainly have identified various odd typos, 4 bits of grammar, words missing, stuff like that in this document, which are not major as far as the actual content of it is concerned. But I would be reluctant as a member of the town council to have it go out to the general public with these in there. I would be happier if we could have them resolved, or at least ticked out or ticked off before it went out.
Having spoken this morning with the CEO, he is intending to go through a lot of that, the whole document really, and to make sure that those sorts of things are corrected, certainly before it goes out in January. So we've still got a while before we get to the January if we go out to consultation. So hopefully that's time enough for that to be sorted by. But I take on board exactly what you say, because I've read through it, and there are, as you've spotted, there are paragraphs which are actually repeated, and other ones where you've got content of the next paragraph in the previous paragraph as well. So that and the structure is difficult to follow. And
Yes.
I know, speaking to Richard earlier, that he has got an intention to try and put a table in to actually point to some of so we actually understand from the aims and objectives exactly which policies fulfil those, and that can be a useful piece of document. So I'm hopeful we can move forward. If it isn't, we're not sort of drawing a line in the sand and saying, as it is now, that's exactly how it's going out. We've got time to actually try and sort a lot of that out. But and then we are mainly really looking at those policies that are in the boxes as to whether they are appropriate to go out to consultation. I think, but any more, or shall we make? Does somebody want to make a proposal that we should put the Regulation 14 draft neighbourhood plan? We should recommend to the council that the Regulation 14 draft neighbourhood plan goes out, or that recommendation goes to council on the 14th of November. I could have worded that a lot better. I see, I've read the neighbourhood plan so often that I've got into the same boat, sorry.
So
Councillor,
you could do it
Dixon.
when we say, I guess I'm saying this as chair of full council. Obviously the next step is that it does go to full council, but I'm aware that there are many strong opinions about this. And I'm wondering whether to improve the process, it may be worth the town council getting all councillors who have input to make together to discuss those and potentially defer it to the next planning committee meeting so that disagreements can maybe be ironed out and sorted before full council. What I would not necessarily want to see is that if we did approve this today, it goes to full council and then it still could get thrown back by full council, but I think if in its current form it goes to full council, I think we face the potential situation of it maybe not passing.
So to summarise, are you proposing effectively that we approve the principle, but that actually, subject to certain revisions being made, before it goes to the next planning committee meeting, which is just in front of the council meeting? No.
If this is going to have the town council's name on it and to give it the best chance to get through full council, I would like to propose that we do that, yes.
Councillor Robbins, let's come back.
Just say that the steering group, when I was shortly after I was appointed, was very concerned that councillors hadn't had the opportunity to talk to the steering group about preparation. And we offered, through Andrew Tubb, through Sean and Andrew, a meeting for question and answers with members of the council. And that was rejected.
Okay.
It was not taken up. And that would have been a very good opportunity for doing exactly what you're talking about, which is going through in detail, looking at the policies, the structure of the thing. It was rejected. And I am disappointed that that didn't happen.
I can't personally recall if that was a general question and answer or on this specific document,
I
but
don't recall it ever being told about the offer, but okay.
yeah.
So the proposal then is to approve the principle of the Reg 14 going to the next council, but
Yes.
subject to it being able to undergo discussion and possible amendments to actually make it a clearer document before, as it going out to the town council's name.
Yeah. I'd like to make it clear that I'm suggesting this because I want to give it the best chance it can at full council.
Yeah, I know, I appreciate that, because the big problem is going to be that if it gets to the town council meeting on the 14th of November, and that hasn't happened, then we're going to end up with even more councillors being concerned and possibly not getting approval.
I'm happy to support that.
That's sorted. Okay, so all those in favour of that then? Okay.
Are we going to have to get together?
So we do prove that we need to actually understand how that process is going to work in between now and the 14th of November. And certainly the suggestion that any comment should go back via Sean as one point of contact is a good idea. But then that does rather leave Sean in the position of getting different comments back which actually conflict with each other. So I'm not quite sure whether we ought to be taking up the offer that the steering group might want to go through it with us, question and answer session, and actually get it clear. And I think, okay, sorry. Casual.
I was just going to say there is a difference between a question and answer session and collaborative input and working. Otherwise it could be construed that we're just there to ask questions and some people are there to answer.
Can I suggest that, sorry,
Okay.
can I suggest that maybe we, if it's possible, a meeting be organised via CEO and with the steering group, of course, so that we can discuss this and all the issues around it at a date before 14, so that Sean can, or whoever can correlate all those concerns we have or questions we have, that they can be answered, and then Sean could then be the contact to take it, send it to Richard. But I don't know if that's possible.
Should we discuss after the meeting how best to move this
Yes.
forward?
Thank you, Councillor Robbins. I think in terms of trying to work out how it can work. Okay. Right. I think in that case, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Which is the application received. And we have also got the first item on the agenda is 17 Whiteway. Actually, the decision on that has already been taken by the district council. It's already been approved. It's a little bit late, really, just make comment on that one, I suspect.
This haven't built it yet.
No, but they've got a piece of paper that says they can do it. The next one was 54 Somerford Road, erection dwelling in the rear garden and associated vehicular access and works. It's a renewal of the previous application, although having said that, it's a slightly changed application, I think. So the suggestion is no objection, with reiteration of the member's previous comments, which was that we have no objection to the proposed dwelling in the rear garden with associated vehicular access and works, as the natural materials will allow the new dwelling harmonise with the neighbouring properties. In addition, the principle of residential development for the erection of a single dwelling has been established in previous applications in part conservation area. Response or any amendment to it?
Yep.
Those in favour? Okay, thank you. Next one then is for Carpenter's Building, Carpenter's Lane, conversion of offices, use class B1, boarding house, use class C1, comprising 3 apartments. There is also a comment from the Civic Society. The proposal is no objection to the conversion of offices to boarding house. The proposal will involve minimal interference with the integrity of the building and will rather make use of the history of the building. Surrounding buildings are a mixture of C1 hotels, bed and breakfast and residential. Also worth noting is that a historical application confirmed that the conversion did not require planning, and at the time it was stipulated the work should be carried out within 3 years of December 2019 notice. However, the works were not carried out. Office use finished on the 1st of March 2023. The Planning Committee may wish to request evidence and marketing for continued business use. And I think that probably is appropriate that we should ask for that, just to make sure that there is no business use there. So, any amendment to that or people happy with that? Provided we actually go back, making sure they've marketed it for business use if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Next one is 19 Handstone Close. Demolition of existing conservatory and erection of a single-storey rear extension and new front porch. The proposal here is no objection.
Yeah.
The addition to overall footprint is modest and as a single elevation extension with windows as proposed. There would be no issues with overlooking or shadowing. I know there's been a comment, I think, on the planning portal from the neighbour about that it's quite close to their fence, but actually, I don't actually think that is a really necessary planning reason.
No.
So all those in favour of the proposal then? Okay, thank you. The next one's an interesting one because it's Pear Trees, Bournemouth Lane, and it's the previous comments on this application were actually from Bournemouth Parish because it's moved now into Cirencester. The proposal is no objection due to minimal change to the building itself or its placement within the setting. But I would like to add that that the applicant should be conditioned to actually put a close boarded fence to replace the one that's falling down at the back of it,
Yeah.
according to the neighbour. I mean, that seems appropriate.
Do you do that?
I think it's one of the neighbours has actually made a comment that the fence between their property and this one, like Pear Tree and this proposed new one, is actually not really a fence anymore, and it actually needs to be replaced. And I don't think there's any reason why that shouldn't be a condition on it. All those in favour of that one? Next one then is for Sewell House, 45 Chesterton Lane. Change of use from sheltered housing for 6 people to 1 residential dwelling. This was used to be Abbey Fields. The proposal is no objection to change of use, residential to residential dwelling. The area is within walking distance to the town centre and is characterised by a mix of residential dwellings and a small number of commercial businesses. There are currently 2 off-road parking spaces and a double garage. So its proximity to the town centre means that there will be less reliance on private car. I think I can hopefully. What do people think? Happy with that? All those in favour? Yep. Okay. Right, the next one, 16 Albion Street, Stratton. We have commented on this one previously. And although originally the application in 2022 was objected to and refused by CDC, and the appeal was dismissed, we then have made some changes to the window, and we didn't have any objection in April this year, but
Well,
Councillor Irving.
I went down and looked at where it's situated, and it's the 2-storey extension is going to cut off quite a lot of the sunlight to their next door neighbour's back garden, which I think is a material objection. And they may have solved the overlooking problems with the windows, but building such a tall extension right beside the back garden is going to cut off the sunlight for quite a period of day or year from their backyard. It's a very sort of tight, sort of little houses all crammed together.
Mm-hmm.
But a message coming through from Councillor Coleman.
With your permission, Chair,
Yes.
recognising I imagine I'm not on camera, so I might speak a bit
All
louder.
right.
This is the 3rd version. Each version has differed significantly and has created, as Bob has indicated, its own problems because the distances between the various homes in this corner of Cirencester are much smaller than would now be allowed. And therefore, making any part of those distances smaller or putting windows where windows haven't been before is never going to improve things for the residents. The most you can hope for is neutrality. It's my intention as district councillor to request that the officers of the district council permit this application to come to committee, not least because of its long history and also because it was about to be considered for the committee when this latest version was promised. Version 3 of it was promised, so we then waited, I think, 8 weeks for it to appear. Happens appeared. And whether or not it goes to the district council planning committee is a matter for the officers under advice from the chair and vice chair of the planning committee, but we don't have a, that's me and Ray Bratton and former councillor. Neither of us have a vote in that decision, but usually we come to an agreement with officers as to what should happen. And then just to finish, this has resulted in remarkably short committee agendas in the District Council Planning Committee, which must be, if nothing else, an aid to efficient use of time for officers.
Okay. So are we going to go along with what's on here, which was the previous one, which was no objection, or are we saying that we'd like to object on the grounds that
I would
loss of light?
I would like to object on the basis of loss of light.
Okay, right, find a seconder.
I feel that's a valid concern.
Okay, right. All those in favour of that one? Okay. Okay, Sean, did you get that one? Yep. Okay. 36 Shepherd's Way, 2-storey extension to side, single-storey extension to rear and loft conversion. And the proposal here is no objection. The 2-storey extension in principle. However, CTC would like to see changes made with regards to window types and position to address any overlooking loss of privacy. Certainly, I think has been raised by one of the neighbours as well as an issue of overlooking. So, anybody want to say anything else, or
I'm
in
happy
favour
with
of that? Yep. Okay. Next one then is 77 Melville Gardens, for lawful proposed use. We are saying no objection to the creation of the access and off-road parking for one vehicle by dropping the curb onto the specified road.
Yeah.
All those in favour of that? Okay. Yes, the Gloucestershire Council Highways officer will have something to say if there needs to be anything said on that one. Next one is 6 Gloucester Street. It's replacement of kitchen extension, flat roof and skylight. The proposal here is no objection to replacement of kitchen extension, flat roof and skylight with new flat roof and lantern. Pretty innocuous property, I think.
Yeah.
All those in favour of that? Okay. The next one is called Bingham Hall. And it's for the erection of a front extension and associated works. The proposal is no objection. The building is not listed, nor is it in the AONB. It's in the conservation area, but proposed works are simple and use of natural materials to match the existing will enhance the look of the building in its setting. I think there was also a comment from the Civic Society
There was,
on
wasn't there?
that one, which I'm sure they can submit themselves anyway,
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail in it. So I'm sure they can submit. All those in favour of the proposal, there?
I was surprised to hear that it wasn't listed, to be honest.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, well, I don't think anybody's ever really thoroughly understood why some buildings are listed and some aren't. There are some strange concrete buildings that are listed and
We've only got one unlisted building in our street.
the next one then is for Hill House, Siddington Road, which is for erection of dwelling with associated works, and it's a revised.
Who wrote all this?
Shall I read the one? So in January, we commented, no objection to the erection of the two-bedroom dwelling, says it works. CCC would, however, like to ensure removal of the trees and hedgerows by 17 Rose Way leading along to 19 Rose Way only occurs if necessary, and with arrangements made to replace and remove any removed with appropriate alternatives which fulfil the need for retained privacy and encouragement of wildlife. And the application has been drawn before we even had a chance to look at it. Pre-application advice was sought and concludes that the principle of development can be supported. However, careful consideration should be given to the site constraints. The application site is limited in size, and it is noted that previous applications have been withdrawn, 2 of them, as they would have resulted in a cramped form development. Whilst the current proposal is for a smaller building, commensurate with the plot size, it fails to meet the minimum space standard as set out in the NDSS and could not therefore be supported. Consideration should also be given to potential impacts on the amenity of Hill House in relation to overbearing and potential loss of light to any facing windows. Well, that's a pretty
That's
thorough,
that, yes.
thorough response to it. Any amendments or vote on that one then? All those in favour of that vote?
I was saying that's a no objection, but with all of that taken into account, or are we going to, are we not supporting?
Right, the I think it was no objection apart from that, which I think must be an objection. To be fair. So yeah, the principle of putting something there is okay, but the design still doesn't overcome the issues that are listed there. So I think it is. I think it is an objection. Whilst she supports the principle of development. The next one, I think the last meeting we looked at this one, but this is actually now the listed building consent, one that goes with the one we looked at before. And there are also comments from the Civic Society on this one, because they're a bit concerned there's no design and access statement, but then I think that probably went with the full application. But their comment is the proposed external alterations appear to be minimal. Large number of drawings have been submitted, but there's no design and access statement posted to explain the proposals, particularly to show how features described in the listed building description are to be protected. So I think we're saying no objection, subject to there being a design and access statement, which will show how that works.
Yeah. Yes.
All those in favour of them? Thank you. Next one is another listed one, this one for Toad Hall, 30 Cocktail Street.
Next door to me, so I won't say
So,
anything.
okay, so I think that's you declaring an interest.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So we have already commented on this one, and it's read whether we information we see are very, very slightly different sizes, aren't they? I suspect because somebody had just put down, they thought they were standard, I suspect, which would be strange on the listed building, don't they? Well, if this saw a listed building.
So we need to get out of one of the windows occasionally, clean up our centre. The funny bit between our houses
Oh, right,
needs
okay.
clearing up occasionally, and the only way to do it is get out of one of the
So-
windows.
So, all those in favour of the no objection? Okay, and we'll note the abstention. Right. 107 Gloucester Street. I'll take both these two together because it's full application, one's the listed building one. And it's for solar panels. which are on a roof that's pretty much hidden from the road. No objection to installation of solar panels for a single roof field on a concrete Marley-style roof. Although this is a listed building, CTC supports the use of green technologies to create more energy-efficient homes. Additionally, in this case, the proposed panels will not be visible from any public viewpoint. Happy with that proposal? All those in favour? Yep. Oh, here we go again. Social services at the old school, 47 Lewis Lane. The upgrade of existing WC in the headmaster's house, probably elsewhere it's just described as the master's house, and connection to mains sewer. And because there is a comment from the Civic Society basically wondering whether they could put the inspection chamber away from the neatly paved footpath to avoid disturbing it. But
Bit of a mess anyway.
well, so our proposed committee is no objection. All in favour? Right, fair enough. The next one is list of building consent for work at 5 Cicely Hill.
Can I say he's doing it already?
You can.
It's all up there and he's doing it.
Oh,
So
right.
I'd love to object and sing it down again.
So this is re-roofing works, addition of installation with ceiling, replacement roof light, replacement rainwater goods and replacement render and pointing. There is a comment from the Civic Society as well. So we're saying no objection. The works proposed are due to the age of the property and the degradation of existing materials to ensure it remains waterproof and habitable for the future. Materials proposed are in keeping with the listed status of the building, either replacing like for like, reusing materials for improving on what is there, where, for example, UPVC rainwater goods are being replaced by cast iron to ensure in keeping with the character and environment of Cicely Hill. And I did note that the Civic Society is suggesting that maybe they'd want to use a vapor permeable underlay instead of bituminous felt, reduce condensation risk. But we might take that one, should we take that one on board as well?
I'd like to
Or do we
say,
not?
I wish they'd stop and do number 3 first. It's in a much worse state.
I think we can respond with that.
Should we just stick with the comment? that's
Yeah, I think we
printed
should,
here
yeah.
and forget about the Civic Society, or that they do number
Yeah.
3 first?
Yeah.
All those in favour? And then the last one is for Tony's Barber Shop, 115 Cricklade Street. Change of use of ground floor from commercial to residential to create additional accommodation. The proposal written down is no objection to change of use of ground floor from commercial to residential to create additional accommodation. This area is more residential than commercial in its character. Is that an amendment or?
No, I'm voting in favour.
All in favour of that then? Sorry if I'm getting you into this stuff.
No, it's fine.
We go straight to. So that was, I think, all of the applications.
Fantastic.
Um,
I have to say, we've done that really well, folks. Time.
We've got, the next item is the applications considered prior to the meeting in line with approved criteria, which were all conservation area and tree preservation order. One
Yes.
which hopefully we'll have a chance to look at. They were like. Yep. Item 8. Other matter, in correspondence with determination recommendation of council. This one, we've got a good meeting today, haven't we? Because this one's to discuss the possibility of a joint meeting with other councils to address questions relating to parking issues raised in public participation at the council meeting on 12th of September, and to consider a response received from the parking manager at CDC to the said question. We've got an update on that for us, Sean. Right.
I don't know, I want to feel this from Maria to allow us to talk about it.
Do you want
Right.
As we've not had the response.
We had a response.
We got a response from CDC, haven't we? I think we wanted to try and get BCC involved as well.
It's mainly a GCT issue.
Yes, yes. Yeah, sorry,
Don't look,
sorry, I haven't prepared myself on this one either, but yes.
Yes.
But I did try to sneak it in on the change log to the neighbourhood plan. But it was rejected.
were you that AJ by any chance?
I was at AJ. I thought it would get rejected, but I thought I'd give it a try.
Maybe.
I think, I mean, whilst we're looking for it, I think the idea is to try and get the relevant person from CDC and the relevant highway officer from GCC.
That's not so good.
And actually try and come up with some sort of proposal as to how we can address, or what options are available to address the issues raised in terms of residents parking, which I think is probably covered by annual permits in car parks anyway. But it's more to do with care providers and those sorts of people who need to be able to visit and then can't park.
We have the response from Maria.
We
I can't read it.
Do you like me to read it out?
why is that good? Wow.
Do you mind, Sean?
Can you just,
It's quite sort of a factual sort of response to the questions raised at the last council. The public.
Yeah, well, that's.
So, first question goes to historical data, survey data of parking and siren systems since the pandemic. The usage has changed greatly with reduction of usage. We no longer have the demand of spaces, particularly during the week, due to home working. For example, all car parks are monitored regularly to assess usage and capacity issues. And at present, there are no pressure points. Off-peak and off-peak plus permits are available in all district car parks to support residents who have no off-street parking. These permits are aimed at residents with no off-street parking of their own who struggle to get a space on the road and to assist regular shoppers. The off-peak covers 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday at £55 per annum. The off-peak plus covers the same periods plus all-day Saturday at £75 per annum. Pre-pandemic, there was a waiting list for season tickets in Cirencester. Now we have availability in Abbey, Old Station, Sheep Street and Waterloo. This is a good indicator that there are less regular users.
okay.
And she's offered, obviously, any other questions, we'll happily respond.
Gloucester Street is quite a trek from those car parks.
Yeah. So I think what we need to know from county council is if they were to bring in permit parking, what sorts of charges are that would be incurred for that? Because presumably that would then allow them, not necessarily just themselves to be able to park there, but if they weren't using it, then there would at least be some spaces that would be permitted to be used then for carers or whatever. I think that was one of the issues that was raised, was to do with people providing care. And that would,
Can't we get blue?
Here's what we have.
No, carers don't get blue badges.
No.
They only get a blue badge if the person they're caring for has actually got a blue badge themselves and is in their car.
And it's more a case anyway of trying to stop the roads just being completely blocked with people parking on there.
Yes.
Actually, you just use the car park.
Yeah.
And so the residents can get that. I think that is the issue really, and it's with the county council. Because if you do bring permit parking, then they don't get the permits for free, they still have to pay for them. I think.
Yes.
But at least that would then mean that if there was exemption as well for care provision.
There is a pass that carers can get from the county council so that they can park in permit areas. But there's not usually reserved areas from the park. It's just so that they can park there for a certain amount of time. if need.
And also depends on what they're going to do with the car parks in the town in relation to what we need. But we're waiting on really. I keep on talking about not needing all of them, but have we heard what's happening to St James's Place? You know, 1 minute they were all going, the next minute only half of them were going, and then the next minute they're all coming back. Now, what is happening?
I think that's all based on rumour.
Yeah. So what are the views of the committee in terms of how we progress this? Is it best that we try and get representation from county council, district council and ourselves together to have a discussion so you understand what is available or what might be available?
Personally, I don't think it would be a CDC issue because their car parks are quite far from Gloucester Street. The issue is actually parking in the street, which is a highways issue. So I think we should be targeting highways to talk to them about a residential permit parking solution that might not fit everyone, but would be an improvement.
Yeah. Okay. We can probably just do that actually by email
Yes.
rather than
Yes.
having a meeting.
Yes.
Your contact.
So it's a case of getting in touch with highways and finding out from them what the options might be.
After 18 months. You have to realise that they take that long to answer.
Well, longer than that when it comes to Tiara Pickley Street, we won't go now.
I got one.
So
I got a response in 4 days.
Well done.
So is that okay, Sean? And then we can hopefully get a response from them before our next meeting. Okay. So the next item is correspondence. I don't know if we have any other correspondence.
Nobody wrote
No.
to us, it said.
We've got a copy of the decision notices since the last meeting, which I will admit I did look through and can't remember the name. I didn't see anything jumped out at me. Reed said one thing and they said another. Right, all member briefing. Well, neighbourhood plan must feature in it somewhere. In terms of the applications,
I think the Bingham Hall one.
being Hall one, yeah.
Social services maybe. Oh, that's only a repeat one, isn't it?
Maybe
Right.
the Seymour House one as well, because that's probably used for
Yes, yeah, that will, yeah.
and probably the other six barber shop change of use.
Yeah, no, that's,
And the fact that carpenters buildings, we've asked for the sales, whether they, tried to
yes.
do the commercial.
We've asked for
We asked-
evidence
yeah.
of them marketing it for business use,
Yeah.
continued business use. And perhaps that we're going to ask Gloucestershire County Council Highways to give us options regarding parking arrangements for residents in Gloucester Street. Just so that they know we haven't forgotten. Right, I think Just double check. That's the end of the meeting. Thank you very much. The meeting. So you're somebody wake, that's the cold one up, but he's woken up. So-